And medical doctor Femi Oyekan joins me on the news from London via Skype to look at this. Good to have you join us, Dr. Oyekan.
Thank you.
So, at first, there were, let me use the word denial as to whether these vaccines were responsible for the clots. But with this research, it does look like these companies are now saying that there is a link between these vaccines and the clots.
Yeah. You want me to respond?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for making me part of this conversation. I'll say that from the very outset, because COVID itself is a new ailment, and that we're still trying to carry out a lot of research to know what the capability of the disease itself is, and then what the vaccines that are coming up were also authorized for emergency use, not like they finished the entire clinical trial that to authenticate their safety before they were given out. But as the population begins to take this vaccine, we're beginning to see some real side effects that were not available at the primary studies. But the good news is the fact that whatever the side effects that has eventually been identified with the vaccine, regulators and independent bodies are taking it serious. And like you said, rightly said, that the Oxford Astrazeneca team are beginning to look into how to modify the vaccine to ensure that it's now going to be safe for people, and that if it's in any way the component that eventually increase the risk of clots can be modified so that that risk can totally be removed from the vaccine itself. But I just want you to know that even with all of that in mind, the COVID disease itself is an hypercoagulable disease. That means that COVID itself increased the risk of blood clots. So I hope this solution is reached on time, because at the moment, even in UK, people below 50 are no longer receiving the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. So if that solution can be reached on time, then the vaccine can possibly be made available for everybody.
There is no doubt that situations like this would lead to vaccine hesitancy amongst, especially younger people. But let's talk about these blood clots, or just general reactions to vaccines. Is this the common thing with vaccines, that when you have vaccines, you're going to have side effects? Or is it because a lot of people did say that, look, because these vaccines were made in a hurry, that perhaps that's why we're seeing this kind of side effects?
I'll say first, vaccines in general have side effects. Usually, like in a way, if the vaccines are completed the entire stages before being put up for public consumption, it's possible that the clotting side of it possibly would have been detected. But I'll say that side effects like headache, diarrhea, fever, nausea, vomiting are common to virtually all vaccines. But when you start seeing rare disease like blood thromboembolic events in the brain, or maybe like recently with the Johnson & Johnson one, you're seeing Guillain-Barré syndrome, then you're beginning, you have to be extra careful as to how you pick it. In a way, it will lead to vaccine hesitancy, and also it will also lead to people in a way, people may not want to take the vaccine when all of this is beginning to come up.
But Dr. Oyekan, we understand. You're right. People will not want to take it. I'm not aware of such blood clots in Africa, recorded in Africa yet. But let's talk about the blood clot itself, and whether this nullifies the efficacy of these vaccines.
I'll say absolutely not. Absolutely not. It doesn't in any way. Even independent studies from regulatory bodies like EU, FDA, every one of them keep asserting the singular fact that even with this clot, with this side effects, the efficacy of the vaccines, the benefits of the vaccines outweigh any of this risk. And when you're talking about 12.8 million people receiving something like the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and only 100 people came up with some mild to severe side effects. And then in all, when you look at the global broader picture, that we are keeping the world safe, we are making the business to return to normal, people are no longer dying, as the death rate is not as significantly high as when COVID initially started. You agree with me that whatever the scientists that came up with the vaccines have done tremendously well, and that whatever little modifications we need to make in order to make sure that the vaccine in all is safer, and then we can encourage people to go and take it. It's going to be a welcome development. But let me add one thing. I know you said something about you have not seen the effect or some of the side effects, like the clotting, the Guillain-Barré syndrome in Africa. I'll say that when you have the very, very little percentage of people being vaccinated in Africa, it is going to be very difficult for you to see some of these severe side effects, or until you have a larger population. But it has not in any way been linked to maybe folks that the Caucasians or maybe blacks or Africans.
It doesn't have any racial implication.
It doesn't have any racial discrimination.
And you're right. We do not have enough. We do not have enough people vaccinated to even tell whether we have such cases in Africa. Thank you so much for helping us make sense of this. As always, medical doctor Femi Oyekan.
Thank you. You're welcome.